Cristiano Ronaldo is possibly the biggest advertising icon in universal sport over the last 10 years. The Portuguese is capable of selling you everything, from cosmetic surgery treatments for the most elite clientele to a simple pair of pants. And he's been tremendously successful in both modalities. Much more success than has been achieved on the pitch in the time since he left the Santiago Bernabéu stadium. Yet in his época at Real Madrid, he nearly lost all those privileges and the affection of the fans because of his penchant for two horrible bad habits: nightclubs for Madrid millionaires and listening to reggaeton music by supposed artists who would give their right arm for a bit of CR7's fame. This is the story of how the drunkest Cristiano Ronaldo of all time lost a Spanish league for Real Madrid. And an illustrated example showing that even a Ballon d'Or winner has the vices that you or one of your friends might have. Do you want to know his story? Without further ado, let the show begin. Cristiano Ronaldo had been playing for Real Madrid for as long as the president of Los Blancos, Florentino Perez, had occupied the most privileged seat at the Bernabéu for the second time in its history. He had won several titles, including 2 Copa del Rey titles, a Spanish Super Cup, and the 2012 league title, as well, of course, as the Champions League in 2014. The season had started spectacularly for Los Merengues. In the first 21 matches, Real Madrid had won 18 of their games with numerous goals, including an 8-2 away win at Deportivo de La Coruña, a 5-0 win over Athletic Club Bilbao, as well as a convincing 3-1 win over FC Barcelona in the Clásico. The team was on a roll, and it looked like Carlo Ancelotti's players were heading for a dream season. Until mid-January 2015, when disaster struck. At that time, the economic differences in television rights between Real Madrid, FC Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, when compared to the rest of the teams in the Spanish league, were so startling as to be, well, absolutely sickening. It was literally impossible for any other team to come close to these 3 titans who enriched themselves at the expense of the average level of the Spanish league. Florentino Perez's men had controlled their Catalan rivals in that campaign. But they forgot that in their own city, there was another privileged team eager to prove that you could beat the European champions with a very different methodology. That of the doped Diego Maradona's former teammate, Diego Pablo Simeone. The kid, Fernando Torres, was returning to Atletico Madrid in the winter transfer window, and in his first game, he did what he had never done in his entire first spell with the Red and Whites. The man who advertised a soft drink as a proudly self-proclaimed village redneck scored twice in the first leg of the Copa del Rey last 16 tie at the Bernabéu. And the side from what was then the Vicente Calderón Stadium finished off their capital rivals in the second leg with a 2-0 win that did a lot of damage in the Perez offices, as the fans, filled with fury, blamed the players for the team's failure to win. These furious fans blamed one man in particular for this defeat: Cristiano Ronaldo, who, despite his scandalous goal tally, seemed to be up to his old tricks, looking for more personal performances by scoring a lot of penalties and yearning for the flashing of the cameras, as opposed to devoting himself to a team effort that would lead to group titles. But that was not the most painful defeat of the season. Just 2 weeks later, the 2 Madrid sides met again in La Liga, in a climate that was starting to become convulsive at Real Madrid. Their star player, Cristiano Ronaldo, had been sent off 2 match days earlier after attacking the players of modest Cordoba CF Crespo. And Edimar, with his classic arrogance and arrogant gestures, was seen to be shining the World Cup winner's badge on his shirt, while the fans of that humble team booed him. The Portuguese star's cup elimination without a good performance, and the presence of his agent Jorge Mendes in Florentino Perez's offices, asking for a pay rise, only lit the fuse of a press usually accustomed to kissing the backside of the billionaire Madrid president. Ancelotti didn't seem to mind too much and decided to include CR7 in the starting lineup. But the move couldn't have gone any worse for the Italian coach with the arched eyebrow. Atletico, you see, beat Real Madrid at the Vicente Calderón. And not just any old way, as Cholo Simeone's players sang "Olé, olé, olé, olé" on 4 different occasions, a crushing and humiliating 4-0 defeat for the way Los Blancos lost that day. It was as if they hadn't received their classic infiltrations to jump like bulls onto the pitch. Madrid's attackers, especially a strangely absent Cristiano Ronaldo, showed no chance or inclination of even scoring a goal for the first time in the season. Atletico's intensity had literally disheartened the white team. Manager Ancelotti himself admitted to the cameras it had been the worst game since he had been coaching Madrid. A Madrid whose Pintus method had not worked, and would not work throughout February. But the blame, unfairly, went to one person, Cristiano Ronaldo. That same day, the footballer with the 1,000 facial operations to make him as handsome and rich as he likes to boast, decided to celebrate his 30th birthday in a Madrid nightclub as soon as he left the Vicente Calderón. With his Latin teammates, substitute goalkeeper Keylor Navas, and the star signing of that season in Madrid, James Rodriguez, as well as the Portuguese clan of Los Blancos, and the now idolised by Madrid fans as an example of sobriety, that is Luka Modric, CR7 began to dance reggaeton to the rhythm of a Colombian singer and friend of James Rodriguez, the one-hit wonder, Kevin Roldan. This artist, known in Latin America but less popular in Spain, was accustomed to fees of 11,000 euros per concert. But on this occasion, the publicity paid off handsomely for him. Soon, his acolytes leaked some embarrassing images of Cristiano Ronaldo, totally drunk, on a stage, singing his horrendous songs in a shouting and screaming lamentation. The hypnotic dances of the Portuguese striker, wearing a peculiar hat, infuriated the fans who, only months before, were celebrating his goals in the Champions League, won in Lisbon, against none other than Atletico Madrid. And to go from that to losing 4-0 in a local derby for a team so unaccustomed to losing at that time, and after a notably poor performance by Ronaldo at the beginning of the year, well, it all added up to a complete humiliation that they did not know how to manage in the local press. Cristiano was the target of more criticism than he had experienced during his entire stay in Madrid. And the fact is that the player's tipsy state brought the fans back to reality. And the fact is that footballers do not play to exalt the fans, no matter how much they say the opposite in canned and absurdly repetitive statements in front of the television cameras. They play for themselves. And in the case of a man without much moral dignity like CR7, they play to be an even greater multimillionaire. Madrid went into crisis. In the month of March, Madrid lost all chance of winning the league. A draw against Villarreal at the Bernabéu, and 2 defeats against Athletic Club and in the Clásico against Barcelona at the Camp Nou, it all provoked the anger of the Madridistas who saw the Catalans, led by Leo Messi, win the league after recovering in the second half of the season all of the deficit lost in the first 19 games. But it was not the worst thing for Madrid. Not when a possible Champions League final of Real Madrid-Barcelona was on the horizon for the first time in history. until Cristiano Ronaldo's side lost surprisingly in the semi-finals against Juventus. Barcelona would win the Champions League, and it seemed that the history of football in Spain was being turned upside down. Although in the end the opposite is happening. Cristiano Ronaldo was undoubtedly Madrid's best player that season, with 48 goals in 35 games. But that party, full of booze and low-quality music, had put a totally non-existent pressure on him just weeks before that fateful birthday. Barcelona's Gerard Piqué thanked Kevin Roldan at the title celebrations for his contribution to Madrid's collapse. And to this day, the reggaetonero remains best known for that infamous party. Cristiano Ronaldo sued the pseudo-artist for publishing images of him making a fool of himself on stage. But it didn't matter to the small-time Colombian. He got a major record deal. His songs were the most listened to on Spotify at the time. And in Barcelona, the stadiums are filled to capacity in remembering that wonderful February 2015. Cristiano, it all started with you. Friends, I hope you don't follow his example and only drink in moderation.